Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in football. Today on Play to Win, it'll be the Bucks and the Ducks for the national title. Plus, TCU, B-backs, and Chubb E is in.
Play to Win is being brought to you by the Southeastern Nissan dealers and Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Welcome to Play to Win with former Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith. Fantasy Football League previews with Adam Brown. Game analysis with Nikki Williams. Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter. Medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalage. And your host, Atlanta sports veteran Bob Neal.
Our college football report is being brought to you by Mall of Georgia, Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and Kia Mall of Georgia.
Welcome to the show. Plus, of course, this is Wild Card Weekend in the National Football League. Today and tomorrow, we'll break all of that down for you a little bit later in the show. But right now, let's get started with the colleges. The first ever college football national title game. First time ever after a playoff system, and it'll be Ohio State and Oregon. Now, the two teams you see that aren't up there, that a lot of us thought would be there, Alabama and Florida State. And I think before we talk about that big game, which we will in a moment, let's talk about what happened, first of all, in the Sugar Bowl to Alabama.
Well, the first thing is stop the run. Alabama couldn't stop the run. Ohio State ran through the middle. Ohio State ran through the outside and got big plays, which is a recipe for success, particularly when you're playing against a team like Alabama.
Absolutely, and that's the bottom line after you analyze everything else about that game. Now, I ask you, out in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Nikki, what happened to Florida State? I mean, 59 points Oregon put up on them.
No one saw that coming, and neither did you.
Exactly,
we weren't the only
nobody.
ones. I think the whole season just caught up with FSU. All those close games, they finally just psychologically crashed, and Jameis just didn't have a good game. Everyone thought he was going to have this great second half. It didn't happen.
Well, he had had them before many times, but one game too many, and Florida State waits till next year, along with Alabama. And now it is time for our showdown of the weeks. Put an S on that, because it'll be another week before that game. Brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Let's get started with the Ohio State-Oregon game. And I want to start with you, Jeffrey, and that is a lot of people wondering, is it possible? Let's face it, Ohio State, a lot of people didn't think they should be in the top four. Can they beat Oregon?
Absolutely. Any team coached by Urban Meyer has a chance. Alabama was winning 21-6 in total control, and Ohio State turned it around. They could definitely beat Oregon.
All right, and this is a story about quarterbacks. It always is in college football, but here we got a third-teamer in Cardale Jones and the Heisman Trophy winner, Nikki.
Yeah, but we have learned so far, Cardale Jones rises to the occasion, and we also saw that Ohio State, they're chameleons. A very different Alabama showed up, and they treated him like an ex-girlfriend. Girl, I know your tricks. Get out.
Oh, I like the way you did that. What do you think about this quarterback matchup?
Well, first thing I think maybe she's the former NFL player and had some hits to the head, because somebody did see it coming last week. I said that Oregon was going to put up a big number in this game, and that's the bottom line, because Florida State's defense is suspect. Now, what I see in this game, Marcus Mariota is managing the game. He's explosive. He's smart. He's doing everything right now, and I don't think Ohio State's going to match up with him, but Ohio State has guts. Ohio State has perseverance, and they got heart, and that's something you can't measure in a team.
All right, who should be favored in this game?
Oh, definitely Oregon should be about a 6-point favorite.
All right, and finally, what about TCU? How much they feel now?
We don't know who number one's going to be, but we know who number two is going to be. TCU will be number two behind the winner of the game.
Yeah, a lot of people think they should have been in that Final Four. In a moment, we continue. We'll get a hometown team report. Easy for me to say as we continue with Play to Win.
Our 10th anniversary celebration ends this month with our biggest year-end sale down ever, now at Kia Mall of Georgia. Treat yourself to a new 2015 Kia Sorento, starting at only $19,997, or choose 0% APR for up to 72 months. We have the 2015 Kia Optima, starting at just $16,997, or choose 0% APR for up to 72 months. Two amazing cars with 0% APR for up to 72 months. Kia Mall of Georgia, 2.5 miles west of the Mall of Georgia, or online at lovemykia.com.
There's nothing like waking up on that first cold day of winter weather and turning on your heating system only to find out it doesn't work. I'm Tommy Estes. Call Estes Services ahead of time and avoid the discomfort. With our pre-season maintenance and safety inspection, your system can be running at peak efficiency. Call us today or visit estsair.com and find out everything this inspection offers. Save energy and money with dual fuel. Call your man for all seasons at Estes.
We'll fix it at the speed of life.
It's a great time to drop into Nissan for up to $1,000 holiday bonus cash on select models from our most innovative lineup ever. The most exciting event of the season is going on now at Nissan.
Lease Altima just $189 per month, or choose 0% plus save up to $2,000.
Get to Nissan's holiday event.
Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites.
Hometown Team Report is being brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, bringing a higher order of pizza to Atlanta for 40 years.
All right, time for the Hometown Team Report. The University of Georgia Bulldogs, 10-3 on the season, big 37-14 win over Louisville in the Belk Bowl that turned out to be a really good ball game. And let's face it, Georgia has found not only a running back replacement for Todd Gurley, but actually a Heisman candidate in Nick Chubb. He showed it all in that game against Louisville. Look at this, 266 yards rushing, both Georgia and SEC Bowl records, rushed for 100 yards in all 8 starts, 1,547 rushing season. And remember, he didn't really get started until after the problems off the field by Todd Gurley with the signature gate, as I like to call it. And Nikki, as we talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, we do know Nick Chubb's coming back and he's going to be great. But offensive coordinator Mike Bobo's gone. Georgia's got to find a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some flashes of greatness this season. We do have some offensive questions. We got a taste of what it would be like Bobo-less, though in Charlotte we did okay. We've got Chubb, like you mentioned, but we've still got a quarterback situation to address. And they've released the 2015 schedule, and it's not going to go easy on us by any means.
Yeah, and Chuck, I want to throw something in here for you on the defense. Jeremy Pruitt, first year, just finished his first year as the defensive coordinator. I thought the defense played well and better toward the end of the year. What's your view of what's coming for the defense for Georgia?
Well, I think Georgia's defense, the first year in that scheme, I think they got some work to do. But I think Coach Pruitt, he's stern, he has a real attention to detail type mentality, and I think he's the right fit for Georgia. He's got a lot of young talent around him, and watch out next year for Lorenzo Carter. I know he played a lot as a true freshman, but he has star written all over him in the Southeastern Conference.
I want to get Jeffrey's view on whether Georgia performed or underperformed this year. 10-3 is their record.
The fact that they went to the Belk Bowl cannot make the alumni happy. Losses to mediocre Florida, mediocre South Carolina. It's disappointing. I think they had a disappointing year.
So even 10 wins, still disappointing. I think most Georgia fans, and particularly alums, would tend to agree with that. The Belk Bowl, that's a very good football program.
This alum is pretty happy, though, that we crushed the Belk Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
Optimist.
In Charlotte. Yeah, but wouldn't it be better to be playing in one of the Final Four?
We'll get there.
Exactly. And Chuck, I want to talk to you a little bit about Georgia Tech now. Georgia Tech, we know about their offense. I mean, the St. John Days and Justin Thomas, who's just had a great year. St. John Days, Zach Lasky. They rushed for nearly 5,000 yards this year. Two things. One, that running attack, and can they do it again next year because it's so unusual? And also give a little bit of love to the Georgia Tech D.
Well, the Georgia Tech defense, they were opportunistic, and I'm going to tell you, no one got more out of their players than Georgia Tech did this year on defense. And, you know, the best defense is a running offense, so give Georgia Tech's offense a lot of credit. But I'm going to tell you, Shaquille Mason up front, incredible at guard, All-American. He was one of the catalysts. Doesn't get a lot of credit for what the offensive line did, but Georgia Tech's offensive line was one of the best in America last year. And so it just spreads all the way around the love and, you know, the admiration I have for a team that had no expectations, but exceeded everyone's.
And put up a lot of numbers against Mississippi State, a very good team in the Orange Bowl. How about Georgia Tech from your viewpoint, Jeffrey, and how they performed this year?
They came a long way from when they went behind Georgia Southern in the second game of the season. If you take away the North Carolina loss, they had a great year. They're going to be preseason, top 10 next year, and Thomas will be a Heisman Trophy candidate.
All right, hometown teams. We're also talking about the Atlanta Falcons, and that brings us to our 68 seconds with 680 The Fan and Steak Shapiro on the Falcons firing of Mike Smith.
No NFL coach is going to survive winning 10 of 32 games in a 2-year span, and Mike Smith wasn't going to survive it. Very simple. Time for a new voice. Time for a change in philosophy. And the Falcons have suffered through a 2-year stretch where they're getting ready to sell season ticket holders on a new stadium and don't have enough personnel to really get people excited. What is on the way? Perhaps a high-profile guy like Rex Ryan or top coordinators from around the NFL. But regardless, the next decision made at head coach will be one of the most important in the history of the franchise. 2017 means a brand new building, but will it be a brand new winning way? Only time will tell.
All right, I don't want to sound too cold or harsh here, but what have you done for me lately? Who's up next? Who's the Falcons going to be the new Falcons coach? Nikki, let's talk about it a little bit. Rex Ryan from the Jets got fired after winning only 4 games, but the Falcons have interviewed him. They've also talked to Doug Marrone, the Buffalo coach, who had an opt-out if they had a change of ownership in Buffalo, and he did. Falcons talking to him. Also some offensive coordinators. What are you hearing about the Falcons' new coach?
Adam Gase also is in that mix, by the way. I think this next coach will be defensive-minded, which is not too far off of what Mike Smith was. Their talent isn't there. They really need to work on that. There's so few of these head coaching jobs out there, and I feel like so many of them are open right now. But there's a pecking order. The Falcons are at the top because we have the best quarterback out of all of these teams that are hiring. So it's a little bit of an appealing job. It'll be interesting to see which way they go.
Personal feeling as a player, having to adjust to something like coach gets fired, you got to look forward to next year.
Yeah. Transition, Bob. Transition's always hard for players because you got to think a lot of players are in the twilights of their careers. A lot of them are, they expected to have a different result when they came to Atlanta Falcons under Coach Smith, and that expectation was a Super Bowl opportunity from where they were. So I think everybody realizes transition's going to happen not only for the coaches, but it also affects the players. And when you think about the players, you got to remember there's families involved in this also. So.
Right. So it's not as happy-go-lucky as somebody like me who says, okay, what's next? That's what I want to know as a fan and a member of the media. We're going to come back in a moment and continue with NFL and talk about the Saturday wild cards next on Play to Win.
Why can't I have a slice of yours?
You're a cartoon. You can only have cartoon pizza.
It's not fair.
Look, this pie is 100% real, and you're colored ink. It's physics, man.
Well, can you buy me a beer?
I can buy you a cartoon beer. Are you single?
It's a pride.
Everyone wants real Mellow Mushroom Pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness. Mellow Mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car, but they only offered me $750 for my injuries, and then they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm Attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
That same day, the insurance company said they will fix my car and offered me this check for $600.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call on the Strong Arm.
Welcome back to Play to Win. Today we begin the wild card in the National Football League. Let's talk about the Saturday games. The first one's the one the Atlanta Falcons might have been playing, but instead it's Carolina, Arizona coming in to take on Carolina at 7-8-1. And Chuck, talk to me about this Carolina team, particularly that defense. They look ferocious against the Atlanta Falcons.
And everybody talks so much about Cam Newton. Let's realize the catalyst for Carolina is pounding on defense. Charles Johnson is phenomenal at defensive end. He's gotten healthy. This defense is growing up right before us again, and that's health-wise. And I'm telling you, Carolina's going to be a tough team to beat.
And Arizona started 9-1, but they lost 4 of their last 6 coming into this game, struggling a little bit, mainly because of the quarterback position, Nikki.
Because of that, and they've had some other injuries through the way, they've really hung on for dear life to make it to where they are. But you're talking about 2 teams with the virtual opposite situations in the schedule right now. Like you said, Arizona started out so hot. Now they're lukewarm. Carolina, boy, did we underestimate them. I know I did. I'll admit it.
They're hot. They could
hot.
beat Arizona. There's no question about it. Now also on Saturday night will be the AFC wildcard game, and of course that's Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, Antonio Brown, Roethlisberger, great running game with Le'Veon Bell, or is he going to be okay? What about the running game?
Well, I think it's really important that Le'Veon Bell is there. I mean, he is the catalyst that makes this Pittsburgh Steelers offense go, and it goes through him, then Ben Roethlisberger. It's a huge loss if he's not there, physically and emotionally for that team.
How about Joe Flacco and his performance for Baltimore? How big is that going to be with Stephen Smith?
It is big because Flacco hasn't thrown a postseason interception in 137 passes. And then you got Steve Smith. We know that every time he makes a play, he's acting like he's got something to prove in everything that he does.
Chip on the shoulder.
He's always got a chip on his shoulder, and he's tied with a Ravens great right now for the second most postseason touchdown passes.
All right, sounds potent. Potent. Yeah. And Jeffrey, Baltimore kind of coming in a little bit sluggish, but you say don't let that fool you.
They struggled their way into the playoffs. They hadn't played well, but they backed in. But they did the same thing 2 years ago and won the Super Bowl. So they could be very dangerous.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment, talk NFL injuries as they relate to these wild card games, Adam's wild card fantasy football, and Dr. A's here with the Player Medical Report on Play to Win.
Unwrap a great new deal on a new vehicle during the Big Finish at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pick out a new Dodge Dart SE with automatic for only $189 per month. This is a purchase, not a lease. A 2015 Chrysler 200 Limited is only $229 per month. Also a purchase and not a lease. Or find a 2014 Ram 1500 Crew Cab for just $359 per month. Purchase, not a lease. The Big Finish at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at yourdodge.com.
We've owned a few different houses through the years. Your company was absolutely the best. They were so professional. Everything they didn't get a mark on a wall or anything else. It was clean, it was friendly, and it was fun. And most of the time, moving is not fun. I'm going to give a great recommendation to Atlanta Peach Movers. It's always on time and it's always professional. There is no tree in Atlanta Peach Movers.
To schedule your move, call Atlanta Peach Movers today.
Today's injury report is brought to you by John Foy and Associates. If you've been injured in an accident, be sure to call John Foy, the strong arm.
A perfect way to lead into Adam Brown's fantasy football report is the NFL injury report. And let's take a look at the John Foy and Associates injury report. Drew Stanton, you see there with Arizona. You know, there was some question earlier in the week that he might be able to play, but no, he's not. Ryan Lindley will be the quarterback for Arizona. You see the other top players. These are all the wild card games that will be going on this week. The only one who's out for sure is Drew Stanton. One probable, three questionables, and down at the bottom, T.Y. Hilton, Calvin Johnson, DeMarco Murray, all stars, all probable to play in the game. And that is the NFL injury report brought to you by John Foy and Associates. And now it is time for Adam Brown's fantasy football report, brought to you by SD Services. Hi, Adam.
Hey, Bob. How are you this week?
I'm good, and it's the wild card fantasy report.
8 teams, 4 games.
All right, let's get started with the quarterbacks.
Awesome. Cam Newton this week is a must start in all your formats for the wild card weekend. Cam Newton, for the first time in his career, is not among the top 4 fantasy quarterbacks, but with Newton's legs, his health, he's a must start.
You've been mentioning Andy Dalton there down at number 6.
Andy Dalton's hit or miss. And week 6 against Indianapolis at Indy, he was 18 for 38 for 126 and a 27-0 loss. But don't take anything into that. Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill, A.J. Green, Mohamed Sanu. He has a lot of weapons around him. Look for him to have a decent day.
All right, and see there Ryan Lindley down there. You know, he's been getting a little better, but I see why you've got him listed at number 8
absolutely.
This week.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the running backs now.
Right.
And, of course, everybo's favorite DeMarco Murray right up there at the top. He's been banged up a little bit, also had the flu, but you think he's good to go?
I think he's good to go this week. Let's talk a little bit about Justin Forsett at Pittsburgh. He's played him twice in the regular season. He had 94 total rushing yards and 9 catches for 83. I think that he's going to have a decent week this week. I like him, and I also like Joyke Bell and Reggie Bush this week.
Yeah, the Lions. The Lions going to run the ball with Dallas. We'll see what happens there. How about the wide receivers, tight ends?
I like Coby Fleener in Indianapolis. I like Antonio Brown, and I like T.Y. Hilton.
All right, and let's go back to Coby Fleener and Dwayne Allen.
Sure.
They're kind of the security blankets for Andrew Luck.
He is. And look, week 6 against Cincinnati, I believe that Coby Fleener had 4 catches for 64 yards. He's been becoming more of a security blanket. I think he's going to have a really big week this week, especially with T.Y. Hilton healthy.
All right, there you go. This is the man, wild card. Wild fits him perfectly. Adam Brown and the fantasy football
Good
report.
luck, everyone.
Wild card weekend. And now it is time to join Dr. A, Dr. Andrew Lalage, who, of course, is the Chief Medical Officer of the Radiology Group and also the creator of Inside Injuries, is talking about a very key injury you don't hear much about unless you're talking about car wrecks or big regular accidents in the world, and I'm talking about the spleen. Turns out it's a pretty big injury in the NFL as well.
Spleen injuries this year in the NFL have been an epidemic. Justin Hunter and Alex Smith this year are out for the season, all due to a spleen injury. Let's take a look at what this injury looks like. This is actually a cross-section of the abdomen. It's the upper abdomen. This organ here is the spleen. You see this wedge-shaped area that's darker? That's actually a laceration of the spleen and is likely what one of these athletes have. Now, the spleen is a very, very important organ because all the red blood cells through the body go through it, and it's like a quality check. It's very vascular, so if it's injured with a direct blow, then there's a high likelihood of bleeding, and sometimes it can be as severe as death. Now, let's take a look at some player report cards. Aaron Rodgers has a mild calf strain. He'll be good to go. He is not downgraded. A.J. Green sustained a significant concussion. He's been downgraded to a C, and he's at 55%. I would not start him. Reggie Wayne, unfortunately, he is now downgraded to a D+ with a groin strain and a chronic triceps tear the whole season. He is most likely not going to be a factor in the game this weekend.
In a minute, we continue with Play to Win with the NFL Sunday wildcard games.
Your life moves fast, so when your plumbing goes bad, we know you want it fixed fast. I'm Tommy Estes, inviting you to see what we can provide with our plumbing services. We're dedicated to the same high standards of quality we've held ourselves to since 1949. From leak repairs to water pressure, from water heaters to toilet issues, Estes is dependable, proven, and ready to help. Call Estes and we'll fix it at the speed of life.
We'll fix it at the speed of life.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car. They only offered me $750 for my injury, and they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm Attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
And they offered me this check for $1,000.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call in the Strong Arm.
Call Attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm.
The NFL Report is brought to you by the Greater Atlanta Nissan dealers. Innovation that excites.
All right, we're talking wild card NFL, tomorrow's games. And let's start in the NFC in the game that I'm most looking forward to. And you see it at the bottom of your screen there. Detroit at 11-5 and Dallas, to me, a surprise this year, finishing at 12-4. We know about Romo and Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray, but they got to meet that Detroit D.
Yeah, and they got to meet a Detroit D with Ndamukong Suh. He won his appeal. The first thing is he's got to keep his composure because dumb players make dumb plays in big-time situations. They kill their teams in the playoffs. Suh has to play with control, but he's got to play with the rage, but he's a monster. And that Detroit D gives him a great chance to knock Dallas off.
You heard what he said about why he did that. His feet were cold and they were numb, and he didn't know he stepped on Aaron Rodgers' leg.
You got to do what you got to do to get back in the game. We'll just leave it like that. You got to do what you got to do.
He did what he had to do, and he's playing. And that's not something that's good news for Tony Romo and company.
It's not, but Tony Romo, people talk about him behind his back all the time, say he cracks under pressure, he hangs himself and chokes on all of these big games. The season's a little different, though. Dallas is running the ball 50% of the time. He's got the safety net of talent around him, like you mentioned earlier. So I think he does well on this game.
All right, and Jeffrey, Detroit's moved the ball up and down the field quite a bit this year, but you say don't get too high on them.
Their offense is very pretty, but the defense has got them in the playoffs.
All right, yeah, no question about that. All right, let's talk about the AFC game for tomorrow. And that AFC game is Cincinnati Bengals versus Indianapolis. Now, the first thing I think about, Chuck, when I think Cincinnati is I think Andy Dalton, and we don't know what he's going to do. So what is Cincinnati going to do to face Andrew Luck and the Colts?
Well, he's got a good coach, Hugh Jackson. Andy Dalton, offensive coordinator now for Cincinnati, is Hugh Jackson. He wants to run the ball. That's who they are, playing defense. So take the ball to Andy Dalton's hands, run the ball. You will have a shot to go in and knock Indianapolis off because Indy's defense right now is terrible. Andrew Luck's good, but that defense is absolutely terrible right now.
All right, in case you're liking the Bengals, Marvin Lewis has never won a playoff game. He's 0-5.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right?
That's really crazy.
Maybe this time. We'll be back in a moment with a lightning round. Stay with us. This is Play to Win.
It's a great time to drop into Nissan for up to 1,000 holiday bonus cash on select models from our most innovative lineup ever. The most exciting event of the season is going on now at Nissan.
Lease Altima just $189 per month, or choose 0% plus save up to $2,000.
Get to Nissan's holiday event.
Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites.
The Wizard, can you make me real so I can eat real mellow mushroom pizza instead of cartoon pizza?
Stand back. Here we go. Alakazam! Wiggity stickity poof!
I'm still a cartoon.
Then that'd be a no.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness.
Wiggity stickity poof.
Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
Look out, you're going to get hit by the lightning round. It's the wild card game. Start with Arizona, Carolina, Jeffrey.
Two teams going in different directions. Throw out Carolina's 7-8-1 record. They're on the rise. They're going to be dangerous. Give the 6.5.
You like Pittsburgh?
Give the 3 to Pittsburgh. I think they're playing great ball. Baltimore struggling. Pittsburgh should cover the 3.
All right, throw out Andy Dalton. You like Indianapolis?
It's a quarterback mismatch. They already killed Cincinnati once this year. They'll kill them again.
Despite the D, you like the D in Dallas.
Cowboys right now are the most well-rounded team in football. Defense is good. Their passing is good. Their running is good. They should give the Lions a nice little beating.
You know, you like a lot of favorites. You usually throw some dogs in there.
I love dogs. Matter of fact, when I first married my ex-wife, I was on the phone talking to a friend about football. I said, I love dogs. Next thing I know, I got 3 Cairn Terriers and 2 collies.
She didn't get it. Underdogs. That's why she was the first wife. All right, New Year's resolution. So how much time? What's yours?
More winners.
More winners. Good one. Nikki.
Quit drinking and cussing. I'm just kidding. I'm just sick and tired of not being rich. This year is about me making some money.
Get rich. Okay.
And drinking and cussing.
Don't stop cussing, because I love that. How about you?
I want a 6-pack.
A 6-pack. You're talking this 6-pack?
I want a 6-pack of abs.
I got a 6-pack.
I got to get in better shape this year.
You just can't see my 6-pack, but I've got one.
I'm
I'm almost too perfect to have a resolution. Maybe I'll be more humble next year. That's it for Play to Win. We'll see you next week right here on Fox 5.
Play to Win has been brought to you by John Foy and Associates and Kia Mall of Georgia and Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep.